I remember driving to the bottom with the afterburners on and made some horrible decisions. And it all came together one night, and I decided I was going to end my life that night. Didn't tell anybody, and didn't reach out for help because I didn't feel like there was help out there. And I took my service pistol at the time, which was a Smith & Wesson 40 caliber, and put it in my mouth. And in walks my buddy, who actually currently works here.
Sound of that tractor means it's time for us to go to work. You're listening to the Give Us the Dirt podcast, powered by Hoopaw Grading Company. My name is Brandon, and I am your host. We are excited. We've got a special guest with us today, Ben Stilwell, a Charlotte native and loyal member of our HGC team for almost 10 years now.
10 years, yeah.
This guy's done a little bit of everything. He's worked his way up from laborer to operator to foreman to superintendent, and now he helps lead our team as general superintendent of concrete services. On top of that, Ben is a retired Charlotte police officer and served in the United States Marine Corps. In his spare time, he enjoys camping, fishing, and bowling. But today's episode is about more than just Ben's career achievements. As we all know, life can be tough, and it's okay to admit when we're struggling. September is Suicide Prevention Month, and Ben has graciously volunteered to share his personal story. His hope is that by doing so, he might help someone out there realize they're not alone, and that support is available. Join us as we dive into Ben's journey, his struggles, and the importance of seeking help and supporting each other through life's challenges. Ben, welcome to the podcast.
What's going on? How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. Do you listen to the podcast? If you don't, just lie.
I have listened to snippets from the podcast.
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of Russell Davis's. And,
Russell's?
Yeah. Like old Russell.
Yeah, that was a great one. He was about as uncomfortable being in here in the studio as you might be right now.
Probably.
And then any other ones?
A couple of them, but I have not listened to a whole podcast.
All right, you should have said Brian McManus's.
Well,
that
yeah,
would have been
good. I did
good.
listen to Brian.
See there, that was perfect. Well, man, I'm excited to be able to hear your story. We were talking a little bit before we got going here about how this came about, and it was because you were having just a candid conversation with one of our teammates, and they said, you know what, have you ever thought about sharing your story? And I think you said this is the first time you've done it publicly, right?
Yes, it has, on a public platform.
Well, man, first off, I'm honored and humbled that you chose this opportunity to do that. I'm excited to be able to hear a little bit more of it. But first, tell me your background. Tell me where you grew up. Tell me about little Ben.
I kind of grew up in the northwest part of Charlotte.
So you're a Charlotte native.
Yes.
I said that
Born and raised. I was born at Presbyterian Hospital in 1984. So lived over off of Mount Holly Holdings Road, then moved to the Coolwood community when I was in the third grade, which is still northwest Charlotte up towards the Mountain Island area, and graduated from West Meck. And then headed off from there.
So you knew straight after graduation you were going into the Marines.
I'd actually signed up for the Air Force right after 9/11. So I was a part of an early entry.
So you graduated what year?
2003.
2003.
Yeah. So I signed up when I was 16, and Air Force was going to put me on a program to send me out to Colorado and Colorado Springs because I want to be an Air Force pilot. Unfortunately, my vision was not good enough at the time. They did not allow corrective surgery at that time.
So you said, all right, well, I'm going to go to the Marine Corps.
Well, it was a little bit more than that, but can't really say what he told me. I walked out of the Air Force recruiter's office. There was a Marine sergeant standing across the way with his arms folded, and he kind of said something to me that sparked my interest, and maybe that's something I'll tell you outside of here.
Man, this is the Give Us the Dirt podcast, man. You got to tell us. That's great. All right. Well, afterwards, maybe you can give me the dirt.
Yeah.
So was that just something you felt personally bad? Did your dad, did he serve, or did
No,
you just felt compelled after 9/11
Yeah,
that you
after
wanted
9/11, I remember I was in chemistry class and just seeing those towers fall. I was like, whatever happened, I'm going to help. I don't care what it takes, and that's what made my decision for me. So, yeah, 9/11 pushed that decision for me.
Wow. And so you were in the middle. You don't have to tell me any of the details of at the time you were serving, but how long were you in? And what was your role?
I was 0341, which is a mortarman. I was also cross-trained 0311. I was part of 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines. I was part of weapons company, and did 2 tours overseas. One was what we called a desert cruise. I was with the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit. Spent some time in several countries, from Spain to Africa to Israel to just everywhere.
Wow.
And we did a lot of border operations and training out there on the Kuwaiti-Iraqi border at that time, and did some training with the Israeli Special Forces, and because we were what they call a SOC unit, or Special Operations Capable. Our second time, flew over on our charter flight, picked up a C-17 in Kuwait, and flew into TQ Air Base right there outside of Fallujah, in the Camp Fallujah.
Oh, my goodness.
And that was in 05, 06.
Wow.
Or no, 06, 07, sorry. The first tour was in 05.
And so you were in till
07.
07?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. You did a lot.
I did. Well, I mean, I don't consider it a lot, really. A lot of guys that did more than me. One of my best friends, he was shot by a sniper on our last tour over there. Pierced, went in through his right side, I think it was his right side, bounced off his spine and went through his other lung. So pierced both his lungs, and he survived.
Were you there?
I was. I was actually part of the quick reaction force. My gunny had asked me, he's like, hey, do you want to go on this patrol? I'd been up for like 36 hours at this point, and I'm like, yeah, I'll stay on the quick reaction force on this one.
Man, that's gotta be rough, especially being one of your best friends.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he survived, and he actually went back. He did I think 2 more tours in Afghanistan after that, and he was there during the worst times in Afghanistan. He saw a lot of combat, but I remember him landing. We were actually on the front of the New York Times. We had reporters with us at all times, and I remember him lying on the ground. He was wiggling his feet after he'd been shot. I asked him later, we didn't think he was going to survive, and it was a miracle that he did. And I was like, why are you moving your feet so much? And he's like, man, I was making sure I could still dance.
So, want to make sure his feet still work.
Yeah, so a little bit of humor in that moment, but
yeah.
At the time it was not humorous, but you see a lot of things like that.
Man, I cannot imagine, Ben. Well, first, thank you for your service.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Yeah, that's now when you when you were discharged, were you did you get injured while you were?
I did. We did not really find out until later. It was October 19th of 2006, what they called the Battle of OP Omar, which OP was our post outside of Camp Fallujah. The grunts really didn't get to hang around Camp Fallujah very much. We came back to resupply and get a hot meal every now and then, and they'd kick us back outside the wire. But so that the night before, we'd been out on missions, just patrolling missions. We'd send a different mobile assault platoon out every day, and you just you rotate them, and pretty much every week, but you would switch it up just to kind of keep people on their toes and stuff like that. And we'd been out all the night before, so we'd been out for over 24 hours. Came back, laid down. My CO yelled at me because I had not shaved my face in a couple of days, so I had a little beard going. He was like, "Get that mess off your face." And we called him the Shark, my captain. But
you said it a little bit nicer than he did.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And so come back, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna lay down before I shave my face. Well, we start taking little pop kind of contact just in various areas. And they're testing us, see if we have any weak points is what they're doing at this point. So after about the third time, I get up and I'm like, okay, all right, I'm just going to shave my face now so I don't get yelled at again. And go have my flight suit tied around my waist and standing in a shower trailer, a couple other guys. And luckily we had these like 12-foot tall Jersey barriers that's kind of just surrounding the compound in this area. And we started taking incoming, and right outside the trailer, 2 120 millimeter mortars landed. Luckily, those Jersey barriers were there. I wouldn't be talking to you today. But I had half my face shaved at this point, so I looked like Two-Face, but considered to grab my rifle, get out, run around the corner. And again, this is, it's like a large building. The building was actually used as a slaughterhouse. And it was actually great for us because it stayed cooler in the summertime with those thick concrete walls. That's how they cooled their meat over there. And so run around the corner, I look up and I see a orange and blue dump truck, and then a Humvee rolling towards it, and they were engaging the dump truck. And dump truck disappeared, and I woke up not standing where I was before. And this dump truck was probably a good 75 feet, and they said it was about 2,500 pounds of explosives in that dump truck.
Wow.
So ran back inside.
So the dump truck
Detonated.
Self-detonated.
Yeah, vehicle-borne IED.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
and then that was all you remembered? You woke up somewhere else?
Yeah, I was a couple feet from where I was standing. I think it knocked me off my feet. So. Oh,
wow.
But I got back up for the second time. That first time in the shower trailer, I was kind of holding on to the sink when it was real foggy because the overpressure it kind of knocks you out there for a second. And so run back inside. My buddy Peter, he's like, man, you look like Two-Face, and he starts wiping.
There you are, naked, half your face shaved.
Yeah. So he's wiping. He's got a towel. He's wiping off my face, and we run outside, and I feel almost drunk at this point because of the overpressure, lack of sleep, and my sergeant at the time, he's like, stay in the truck, and my CO runs by me, and he actually had a lot of faith in me. I don't know why, but he said he's like, get on the radio, you're gonna direct fire support. I'm like, sir, I don't think I'm in the condition right now because we're taking fire from all sides. We're completely surrounded at this point. And he said, pretty much, I don't care. You're gonna get it done. I got 2 F-15s on station, and luckily, I did not have to drop any ordnance at that time because we were able to repel their attack. So.
Wow, man. So did you got hurt?
That was that explosion? So from what they determined later was that the overpressure to give me traumatic brain injuries. And after that incident, 2 days later, we were on a convoy. We were coming back in after a resupply, I think, and we got hit with an IED. And the truck that was in front of me, there was the one that took the IED, shattered my windshield. We pulled through the danger zone, hooked them up to a tow strap, and got them out of there. And nobody was severely injured in that one, but it was kind of surreal because one of them looked like a cartoon character. Buddy John, he looked like a cartoon character because he was in the turret and on a 240 Golf, and he had black streaks from where he had just peeked up because somebody came over the radio and was like, IED, IED, IED. And he had black streaks on his face from where he'd peeked over. And actually, a road cone saved his life. There was shrapnel all in the road cone right there where his head would have been. Wow. So, but it did give him some black streaks, but they were okay at the time, and we got them out of there. So,
man, I cannot imagine. I mean, I mean, that I cannot imagine. I can't imagine the mental toll that takes on you just seeing this stuff take place. The fact that you're getting up, shaving your face with bullets flying around you, and it's a normal thing, and
Yeah.
and then you add on top of it the trauma that you endured from the explosion. When did you start to notice that that had taken a toll on you?
When I came back.
As soon as you got back?
Yeah. Wasn't very much a problem over there because you're in that alert fight or flight stage.
Yeah.
And you're always on your P's and Q's trying to,
You got a job to do.
Yeah, exactly right. You got to keep each other alive. And that's what our main base and our main goal is over there, is to keep each other alive. And when I got back, I noticed when I was driving home for the first time, I was driving up 40, Highway 40, in the middle lane, going 35 miles an hour. And it was just happening.
By yourself?
Yeah. And trying to get home, I couldn't sleep. Wake up, and I was sweating in a pool of sweat at night. So, and then I had some things happen when after I left the military. I was Charlotte Mecklenburg police officer, and a couple years into my tenure as a police officer, I ended up with some medical issues. I didn't know what was going on. My eyes would dilate at different sizes. I just couldn't sleep at all. Headaches constantly. And then I was having problems with my heart at the same time. And they determined at that time, they sent me to a specialist, and they said I had a scarring on my brain. And this was all in the study phase at this time. And so it wasn't, this is something that's impacted, troops since World War I, earlier than that, but they didn't know a name for it. They called it shell shock back then. But yeah, it was.
But they see the scarring on the brain from.
Yeah, I ended up in the hospital, actually. And the night I ended up in the hospital, they thought I'd had a stroke and a heart attack at the same time. I was in tachycardia. Don't really remember much about that night.
Wow.
And, they found me on the side of the road. I was driving at the time. And so I went on light duty as a police officer. In a couple months, I ended up here because they wouldn't let me come back to full duty. So they retired me.
Man, that I can't imagine. So you're feeling all these things. Something's wrong. It probably gave you a little bit of relief when they said, "Hey, here's what's happened." Because otherwise, you're like, "What is going on right now?" Because
at this point, I'd been juggling this for 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah, and I had no clue what was going on. So, and I did notice that when I was in stressful situations, I had a very, very clear mind. Very clear mind, but if it was outside just normal day of life, no.
So how did you deal with that? How did you manage that?
Not very well. Ended up in a very dark place in my life. Very dark place. Was going through a divorce. Was living in a trailer. Had no car. A patrol car had to pick me up every day for work, and it was one of my sergeants. He would come get me, and he would take me home at the end of the shift. Hadn't seen my kids, and made some bad decisions in that time that ended up, being blessings in the long run. But at that time, it was very hard to deal with, and it led to a very dark night for me because I felt like I had nothing, and I'd lost everything.
Now, you said led to a very dark night, so you're talking about a specific night.
Yes.
That you were.
And I don't remember the exact date, but I know it was around 2011, 2012 time frame. I think it was, it was the summer of 2011, as a matter of fact. But
and so you remember hitting bottom.
Oh yeah, I remember driving to the bottom with the afterburners on, and made some horrible decisions. And it all came together one night, and I decided I was going to end my life that night. Didn't tell anybody, and didn't reach out for help because I didn't feel like there was help out there. And I took my service pistol at the time, which was a Smith & Wesson 40 caliber, and put it in my mouth. And in walks my buddy, who actually currently works here.
Wait, say that again?
Mm-hmm. Walked in. Hadn't talked to him in months.
As you were getting ready?
I was putting a pistol in my mouth, he walked in. And it's Jason Phillips.
Wow.
He's been a good buddy of mine for 30 years now. And he still gives me chills talking about it. And after he left that night, and things kind of calmed down, I opened up my Bible and opened right to Matthew 11, 28 through 30. And
is that,
yeah,
I saw, that's what you got on your arm, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is that verse?
Come to me, ye who are all weary and burdened, I will give you rest, for my burden is light. And changed my life. Absolutely changed my life.
Mm.
And I never looked back. And all the medications they had put me on, and they went away that day. I stopped taking them. And I've never felt better.
Man, wow. I mean, what a miracle.
Yeah. Divine intervention for sure. Would have never expected to walk out that night alive. If Jason wouldn't have showed up, I'd have been done.
Man, yeah, that's unreal.
Yeah.
And then, you picked up the Bible. You started reading. Why did you go to the Bible?
Because so my parents put me in youth, and when I was younger, and it got to the point where I was at church so much, my grandma would call me church boy.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you grew up in it.
Yeah. So, and that was, around the 6th grade when I got introduced to church. And I'd lost my way when I went to Iraq that last time. And there are some forces there that I cannot explain, and they're not human. And you can feel them. That feeling when you step foot on the ground in Iraq is in that area of the world, because the history is so deep and it's so long ago and it's so ancient, and it's like you can feel it. You can feel that pressure on you. And what's funny is about that is there's actually, I was online one night just cruising, couldn't sleep, and found a blog about OPOMAR, which we were at, and where, we got attacked on October 19th. It was actually, we had the most attacked AO in that area in 2006. And it was about it being haunted. And the presence that, these people felt, I don't know if it was haunted, but I know I had an experience there. And so I'd lost my way. And as soon as I opened the Bible and I saw those words right there, this is the first thing I looked at. I knew he was talking directly to me. And so he spared me for a reason. So I got to make it worth it, right?
Yeah.
And
well, yeah. I mean, the fact that you realize, all right, that was not how you saw this playing out.
No.
And you still have a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You still have work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that your life was spared that night. That's, I was literally talking to my best friend, who's also my pastor, yesterday, and he was sharing with me that a lot of times you see that people who will be introduced to the faith at an early age, and then they'll start to stray away, and then something happens, something tragic or some kind of big incident happens. And when that happens, it either pulls you closer and draws you in, or you push away. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you were at that point to where this was your moment, and you realized this was beyond your control, something that you had probably felt like you were controlling or trying to control for so many years. and you went to the only place that you knew to let go of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I remember in that moment, I hadn't felt this since I was a kid. I went to a place called Camp Tacole when I was a kid, Christian-based camp, and I did mountain bike and rock climb and all this other stuff. I was always into that as a kid, and I was in my early teen years, and I remember sitting around a campfire, and that was the night I was truly saved. Was that night when I felt that presence, what John Wesley, described as the warming of the heart, and that was the basis of Methodism, and that song Revelation. It was just a campfire song back then. It wasn't on the radio or anything like that. But the song Revelation we were playing that, and that's the night I gave my life to God, and being in those type of experiences, I guess, just made me crumble, and seeing people go through the things they did and lose a group of people, and in that moment, the fact that I opened the good book to that one page and saw that verse, and that let me know, give it away, give it to me. I'm going to take it from you. God's going to take that, and he's going to carry it for me. And you talking about breaking down into tears at that moment. It was uncontrollable. And
same night?
Yeah, and it just, from that day forward, I put the word in, tried to put the word in everything I did.
So immediately, the next day, you wake up and it's a new Ben.
Mm-hmm. It was amazing. It was a change that that was when I decided I was going to make a change. I was going to find a way out. This hole I dug for myself, I was going to dig myself out of it, and of course, I was going to lean on God to help me, and because I couldn't have done it without him. No way. So,
Ben, thank you for sharing that. What a powerful, powerful story and testimony, too. Thank God for Jason.
Yeah. Not every day that I say that, but.
Yeah. Well, you should.
I love him. I love him to death. We've known each other since the third grade. We've known each other since, over 30 years now. And we've had each other's back, that's for sure. We hadn't always been in touch and hadn't always been in, the same frame of mind at the time, but.
Man, what courage and strength it takes for somebody to share that. And I know you said this is the first time you shared it publicly like that, but how powerful of a story. And I'm sure a story that so many people can relate to, especially people that have served and have come back home. Part of me, I want to ask you, how were you equipped? How were you prepared to come back and insert yourself into normal life?
We weren't.
You weren't?
No, the government really failed us at that time. They did. And I don't know if things have changed for service members. I know we're not technically in a combat situation right now, but we are. We got troops on the ground in places, that they really shouldn't be, but they're there.
But it was, hey, we'll give you a ride home.
Pat on the butt, and you're out the door.
Go figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
And then you have to fight the VA after that. So it's another level of bureaucracy you have to go through.
We hear of people coming home and struggling with mental health. We hear that suicide from veterans is extremely high. You were almost part of those statistics, but you weren't. And why do you think that's the case, man? What do you hope that your story does for others that are listening to it or that may be struggling with it?
I've tried to be there for people ever since that happened. And, in a private setting, I've talked some people off the ledge. And even as a police officer, I did. And I think maybe he spared me for moments like this. Just get that story out there and let you know that it's going to be okay. And that's why, part of what sparked this conversation between me and Andrea about doing this podcast was a shirt I was wearing. And the shirt I was wearing at the time, I think, was the back of it says, "Don't let the hard days win." And, that's Survival Project has been a big part of me trying to spread the message out there that you're going to be okay.
Tell me about the project.
Suicidal Project is it's an organization founded by Corey Schaefer and his wife Tiffany. Never met him before. Never spoke to him in person. I found them about 8 years ago when they were getting off the ground. They've been around a little bit longer than that, and they were looking for people, to join as members to get that money flow in. And I just happened to stumble upon them on Facebook, and I was like, man, I really like these messages. They had a package at the time that was the Honor Their Sacrifice package, and you got a shirt, you got some little wristbands to wear, you got a couple stickers to put on your car or whatever. And so I became one of the first members there, and he considered me a founding member just by donating a little money to him, and because I really believed in what they were doing. I believed him and his wife, outstanding people. He's got a book coming out, dropping in the next couple of weeks, and very excited about that.
What is their mission?
So their mission is to raise awareness for suicide, and it's shifted. It's amazing how it shifted, because now it's not just service focused. It's focused on mental health in general. And so what they do, like I actually have a delivery this week. They deliver plaques to family members of people that have fallen, service members, first responders, stuff like that. And I actually have a delivery this week to individual in Concord. And I'm going to take that plaque up there to him and honor his family, honor his dad. And very excited about that. It's my first one. It's the first one I've actually, I've done my part in, buying the product and, sharing the message. Now I get to see how it directly impacts somebody.
Now you get to look somebody in the eyes and present it to them and tell them.
Yeah, exactly
wow.
Right. So they raise money for Mission 22. They raise money for, which is also, suicide prevention. They raise money for canines, so people can have dogs and, therapy dogs. And it's just such a great mission to be a part of. And that led me to dig into other things and, try to donate elsewhere and try to help some other causes that I really believe in.
So your experience has really compelled you to speak into the lives of others that are going through similar circumstances.
Absolutely.
You feel purpose in that.
At the end of the day, after that, there's really no feeling like it. And just to know that somebody might live another day because you were there and you were kind to them. And exactly what this shirt says right here, be kind. The back says, because everyone's fighting a battle you know nothing about.
You don't know it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's just, that simple interaction with somebody can change their life. It can change the course of their life just by being nice and, asking somebody how their day is.
Yeah.
We were down at Cape Hatteras a couple weeks ago. I was wearing that same shirt, Don't Let the Hard Days Win, and standing in this little store, and this woman behind me tapped me on the shoulder, and she's crying, absolutely crying. And I just grabbed her and I gave her a hug. She said, "Thank you so much. I needed that."
That was it.
That was it.
That was the whole conversation.
Yep, never saw her again.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just gave her a hug, told her I loved her, and we went our separate ways.
How about that?
It was a really amazing experience.
Man, God is using you to do some amazing things.
I hope
so. This is Suicide Prevention Month. You've seen it over the last several years, but I really feel like we're starting to see the needle move.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
For the first time, I feel like we're starting to see people being willing to step up, to share stories like what you've shared today, to be able to talk about this and not feel embarrassed, to not feel like you're alone, to not feel like you're the only one out there that's dealing with this stuff. I think we're starting to see people are opening up to it. Are you seeing it?
Absolutely. I've noticed a big push on social media, and it warms my heart to see it because our unit personally have lost more Marines to suicide than we ever did in combat. And some good personal buddies.
Say that again. Your unit lost more soldiers to suicide than you did in combat. That's
We only lost, on our
unbelievable.
last tour, we lost 9. And I can't tell you how many we lost since we've been back.
Wow.
It's tormenting because, in our little group chats, we still keep in touch with each other by group chats. And, hey, has anybody heard from him or him or him or him? And then, we try to do outreaches to people. And it wasn't too long ago that we lost John, the one that I told you about in the turret that had the black streaks on his face. It was like a cartoon character. We lost him.
Yeah.
And they found him sitting on a couch with a beer in his hand. He had taken his life. And it's got to stop.
Ben, our industry is known for having very high suicide rates. Why do you think that is for the construction industry?
Stress with the job and stress with home life. The long hours, being gone, things happen. And things happen because people are people. We're born in a simple nature. And we're not perfect. And we lost a couple here.
Yeah.
And those were very, very, very hard. Because I remember specifically reaching out to one of them the weekend before it happened. And he's no longer with us.
Because you knew he was struggling.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's not easy to hear that news at all. It never gets easier. But yeah, long hours, you're not home. Things happen in relationships, the stress from work, not getting to see your kids, all that. It all compiles.
Yep.
And it's just, financial stresses on top of it.
It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. And we've heard so many different stories of hardships, whether, like you said, family members, sickness, illness, financial issues. But it's a hard job. It's taxing.
It is. Especially in today's environment. It's go, 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 go.
So what do you say, man? It's one thing for us to sit in here and turn the mics on and tell all the folks that are listening to the podcast, hey, talk to someone. It's okay to not be okay. Say all the things that you hear now. Mm-hmm. It's another thing for somebody to hear that message from you.
Yeah.
Who sat there in those shoes, who's been there at the lowest point that you could be, and to wake up the next morning with renewed purpose. Like, what do you say? What do you say to those people that are struggling with it and may not even know it themselves, but may not have told anybody?
Tomorrow needs you. Absolutely, tomorrow needs you. Your story's not over. And always remember the story of the Bible. Friday's failure is Sunday's empty tomb. Everything happens for a reason. Don't give up. It's not worth it. There's so many people you leave in the wake of your decision. People that love you and care about you. You're never alone. Not one day. You can reach out to me personally. Day or night, whatever. I'm going to be there. I can't tell you how many phone calls I've gotten in the middle of the night for people I don't even know. And I'm on their front porch.
Wow. That's awesome. Ben, what other resources are out there that I know you mentioned a couple organizations. If someone's out there and they want to reach out to and they need help, outside of calling you, what else is out there for someone that may be struggling?
There's a lot. We have a EAP program here at Hoopall. Utilize it. It'll get you some pretty quick help. You got the crisis text line. You can text TALK to 741-741. I'm sorry, I got some notes in front of me because I can't remember all this.
No, that's good, and we'll put this in the notes in the podcast too. We'll put it with links.
Yeah, and you can find a meeting. Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous. But, that all plays into it. It's all part of mental health. The Narcotics Anonymous is www.na.org, and Alcoholics Anonymous is www.aa.org. 24/7, you can dial 988, and that is the suicide prevention hotline. And then you have a veterans crisis line, because I know we have a lot of veterans that work here. Same thing, 988, dial 988 and press 1. Or you can text 838-255. Online chat, www.veteranscrisisline.net /get-help/chat. And the resources is https www.veteranscrisisline.net. Please don't give up. I got this tattoo right here for a reason. That semicolon is to say your story's not over. And that means I got your 6.
Yeah, so those that can't see it, we got semicolon IGY6.
Yeah.
I got you 6.
Yeah, I got you 6. And that color right there is for, PTSD awareness. Don't fight your demons alone. There's somebody out there that cares and loves you.
Yep. And it's probably going through it too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Ben, are you at a place in your life where you're thankful for that night?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy to
It
think
is.
about that?
It is. And, you deal with mental health on a daily basis. Your mental health never goes away. It's just finding ways to deal with it. And I'm very thankful. I got a fiance soon. I hope she's my wife, but I got a fiance that really has my back. And she's been a rock to me. And she takes care of me.
Do we need to wait to air this until after y'all get married?
Well, no, she just needs to go ahead and make a date. I don't know what she's waiting on.
No, you know what? If she hears this, which I'm sure she's probably heard this story
she's
before,
heard this story.
but man, she's got to be so proud of you,
Mm-hmm.
so proud of you, and we are too. I'm honored that you trusted me enough to come in here and share this story with us. And Ben, there's no question, God saved you for a reason. You have purpose. Your job is not done, and it is to. And you're doing it. You're walking it, and you're living it every day. I appreciate the fact that you have got my 6. I wouldn't want anybody else. Knowing that I've got you on my team makes me feel a lot better. And your message to anyone out there that's struggling right now is that you also have purpose. Don't give up. You listed off 10 different resources right there. Not having someone to talk to is not an excuse.
It's not. And I do want to give. You mind if I give some tips to people if somebody
Please.
approaches them?
Yeah.
If someone is
If somebody comes to you.
Yep. If they're considering suicide, talk direct and open with them. Listen and allow them to express their feelings. Make yourself available and stay involved with them. Encourage them that other options are available. The options we just listed. Take action and remove immediate danger if you can, and make sure you're safe at this time. But just make sure there's nothing they can hurt themselves around. Encourage them to seek help from a licensed professional. Everybody needs help. Don't be ashamed of reaching out. Don't.
Yeah.
And there are some don'ts to this too. Don't be judgmental. Debate them or lecture them. Dare them to do it. I think there's actually case law out there about this right now with people that have dared people to commit suicide, and it's happened. Don't act shocked or scared. You want them to be comfortable with you. You don't want them to shy away with you. Don't allow them to make you swear or keep quiet about it, because if you do that, it could happen when you're not around.
So if they tell you not to say anything, don't let.
Yeah, don't promise or swear to them that.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah, and someone told me too that instead of having someone just make a call or going to see someone, be willing to go with them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right. Help them out.
Drive them there.
Yeah.
Get in the car. Say, I'll go with you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. A little bit of time out of your day is worth somebody's life.
Absolutely. Ben, those are great points. I'm glad you shared those, and thank you again for coming on and sharing your story. You've done some amazing things. We know that you're going to continue doing amazing things. Here at Hoopah, within your personal life, your marriage, God's got big plans for you. So. All right. Any final words? You got anything? You want to go back and give us the dirt? No, what was that? What the recruiter said to you to get you to join the Marines?
I don't
No,
think
we
I
still
can.
can't get it.
No,
All right.
I'll tell you that in person. If anybody out there wants to know, I'll tell you. I'll tell you definitely.
Ben, thank you so much.
Anytime.
If you like listening to the Give Us a Dirt podcast, we want you to hit the like button and subscribe for more great content.